We are live. We got Harry W. We got Richie from Jets Media, Matt O'Leary, Iowa Jets fan, who in the house. We got Dom C in the house. We got Steve, live, CEO of the Jet Lounge. So I knew I'd get rich on my channel. See what's going on. Yeah, there we go. Woo.
Jets by $1 million today.
Yeah.
Well, hello, welcome to the Jets Lounge Chaos. And I am Jets Chaos, also known as Snacks, a.k.a. Jeremy. And a lot of other names you guys have thought up for me over the past 2 years. Let's say hello to Harry W., the man that was at the opener last year. That was great. A Fungus Among Us is back. Harlan Abraham in the house. The salty one, the salty Nalty in the house. What's going on, brother? And we got the Buffalo Jets fan. The wackiest Jets show. No, I'm not going to do it yet because I got to save it. You almost got me. You almost tricked me. Dana, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you here. And Snowball is here. And, guys are piling in. You're coming in. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Make yourself comfortable. Have a seat. Get yourself a snack. Drink some seltzer. Whatever it is that any of you do. But I'm not going to stay here any longer alone. Let's get rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, this man really doesn't need an introduction, does he? But, if you'll humor me for just a moment, he is the Ranger rooting, Nick rooting, Mets rooting, of course, Jets rooting. 18 hot dogs in 30 minutes eating. The CEO and Presidente of the Virginia Fan Sports Club. The pizza eating. The sports Wikimedia on a wicked Wikimedia chair sitting. The greatest. The greatest. The greatest co-host in the world. Y2K99.
After 2 weeks apart, you got the J and the A back together, and it feels so good to be back with you guys. 2 weeks ago, I went through some very, very serious stuff that I am still kind of dealing with and will be for a while. And last week, Jeremy wasn't feeling too good. So after 2 weeks off, it is good to be back together. And before we get going, because there's a number of things that I'm sure you want to talk about. I know there's some things that I want to talk about tonight. But first of all, I want to show up. This is one of our Virginia Jets fans' designs here. We got the MYJ with the wings. We got the Virginia down here, established in 1990 over here. But you know what? Even though I like this shirt, I feel the urge to wear something a little bit more universally recognized now. And I just happen to have a delivery here that came to my place of work this fine day. And on it, it says New York Jets official online store. What could be in this package, I wonder? So why don't I have not taken what is ever in here out of the package yet. So we are going to do this grand unveiling together.
Ooh, let me put you on the big screen if I can. Let me figure this out.
All right.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay. Now this is a little different already because it says Jets on it as opposed to New York. You notice that?
Ooh, looks like a jersey.
This is a little bit different, isn't it?
A little different. Oh, I see the name. Oh, we all know who that is now.
But a slightly different design than the usual black one because we got the green jersey outlined in white as opposed to the other way around. And you get the Jets logo here on the corner. So this is kind of a fashion jersey here. It's a slightly different look with the black jersey. And I like that. See, the biggest knock that I have with our uniforms is that you have New York on it, but you don't have Jets. The only place you see the word Jets is on the helmet. And not that I want to get into a whole uniform thing tonight because it's very easy to do. But for me, I wanted to have the word Jets on it someplace. And this jersey has it. So it just arrived. And I think I'm going to put it on right now for the very first time live on camera for the show tonight. So
I love it. Now. And John Nolte loves it. Watch, it doesn't fit or it rips as soon as he puts it on. Nice.
It's pretty good. Yeah, fits well. It's this one's a medium. It's a little bit tight, but we can work with this. Yeah, just a shirt.
I like it.
I know. I like the Jets on it. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about the green, the black on green, but outlined in white. I just kind of look better than the green outline on the white number. So
that's good stuff.
Oh, I'm getting a snowball request to flex. Yeah, there you go.
All right. So, as you know, I think you probably saw it on Twitter. I got mine as well.
I did.
I didn't get a custom one like you did. I'm a little jealous. I got more of the traditional, but I did get the green and black. I did get the black jersey. Even living in Sacramento with so much sun, it's to me so, well, first of all, I think it's the nicest one. But the truth is, when I ordered a bunch of jerseys from DHgate last year, like the Sauce and the Breece Hall, I forget the other one, the Garrett Wilson. I got all green for some reason. I don't know if it was their mistake or I accidentally just selected all green for them. And then Elijah went away. Zach Wilson didn't turn out well, so all my green on black jerseys were ones I didn't want to wear. So finally, now I have a green on black jersey I want to wear, and that's the Aaron Rodgers one.
I've never been a big fan of the white jerseys. I feel like every time I wear a white jersey, no matter what sport it is, I'm going to mark it up. And once you mark one of those things up nowadays, it's like you can't get it back. So it is very rare. It is very rare that I go with the white jerseys. Mark, good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
We also got how we feeling? First time viewer. Let's go, Jeff.
Matthew,
welcome
aboard, Matthew.
We're a little crazy. It's a little wacky. That's why it's the Wacky Wednesday show.
We're crazy, but we're normal by our own standards.
Have a good time, man. Let's just party and have a good time. We're gonna talk. Look how nice these guys are. They're welcoming them right away. We also, Mark Reese, it's good to see you, brother. We need to hang out when I'm in New Jersey for sure. We're gonna go get some bar pie in Jersey. Go to some pub or bar, get one of those thin, crispy pies. I think actually I don't know why I say bar pie. It should be two pies, one for me, one for him, because they're very thin crust. I don't think I'm willing to share one of those pies.
I think tavern pie, I feel like that's the thin crust thing in Chicago where it's like paper thin on the crust. And my biggest problem with the Chicago thin crust pizza, and I lived there for 20 years, I went through this, is cutting the pizza up into a checkerboard. In those really tiny squares. I mean, if you have a rectangular pizza cut in squares, I get that. But like these little dinky pieces that like you can't help but put your hand right in the middle of the greasy cheese. And then if you're having pepperoni, they're hiding the pepperoni under the cheese. You're a vegetarian, you're getting a little surprise party because at first glance you can't tell the cheese from the pepperoni, and that's just no good.
I'm very anti the crisscrossy Rossi puzzle piece cut of pizza. I am a 8-slice pizza guy. Even if I take a frozen round pie that's really small, my wife laughs because I'll still slice it into 8 slices.
You'll still go 8?
Yeah, still go 8. Even if they're little bitty cuties.
I'll get like a home run in. That's like my go-to frozen pizza. They're not the cheapest ones, but they're for frozen, they're pretty good. And that's about a 10 to 12 incher, and I always go 4. 4 is enough for me. I could do that because I don't know. It's like I don't want to give the pizza wheel too much of a workout, and if the slice is too small, then it's just like I want to have to grab the piece with both hands. Look at it. Only took us like 6 minutes, and we're already on food.
We haven't even talked about the Jets yet.
Oh, you want to talk about the Jets? So we could do that.
We probably should. So first there was the exaggeration and the people looking to, I guess, be Eeyore, like always me, because right off the bat, A-Rod tweaks his calf, and people are saying he's injured, fiasco. I actually got a text from somebody I work with, because the headlines want to, clickbait. He didn't. I guess he was at work, so he didn't get the chance to read the article. He just sends me a message saying, "I'm so sorry about Aaron Rodgers," and I panicked and thought maybe they announced something new. And I run in and I check, and he had just done his press conference saying he tweaked his calf. And I'm like, why are you sorry? He tweaked his calf. Nothing is wrong. He's fine.
He tweaked his calf, and it's not even Memorial Day. I mean, he took his vet day. He walked pretty normally into the press conference without a wrap on, and then he walked off.
Yeah.
And then end of story.
And let me tell you something else. If it was September 11th and that happened in the warm-up before the game against the Bills, he's playing.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
He's playing.
We're used to catastrophic off-season news. We're used to catastrophic injuries. We're used to Carl Lawson and his Achilles. Okay, we're used to Chad Pennington breaking his wrist. This is the type of stuff we're used to as Jet fans. Are we that soft that some people think that we can't handle a tweak to a calf? Come on, guys. Come on. We can hit a lot more than this. Kenny Scarbaggio.
What's up, Kenny? It's good to see you. Kenny was featured on one of those little Jet documentaries about leaving Shea Stadium when they showed the fans ripping apart Shea Stadium.
I knew the name. I knew I recognized the name.
Yeah, okay. Kenny was it was Joe Bernigo, or why did I say?
Are you talking about Joe Beningo?
Yeah. It was him and Kenny were the Jet fans, the season ticket holders that were like showing them talking about it. And apparently, and Kenny's going to have to let us know, he got, when everybody was stripping the stadium, the VIS, like the thing that said visitor over the scoreboard.
Oh,
I'm wondering if he still has that.
VIS. Okay, so hypothetically, if you took home a sign that said VIS, what room do you put it in? Do you get like a plaque made to put it in? Like you're in the museum, you need the little description plaque right underneath it. For an upgrade, maybe Kenny will give you the audio description of it. Who knows what he's got going down in the Scarbaggio shrine down there.
I don't know, but if you want to ask him about it, go on to Twitter, join the Jets Lounge, and you'll see Kenny on almost all the shows, always speaking.
The cops took it.
Yeah, just look him up on Twitter and everything.
The cops took it leaving the game, unfortunately. I don't know, Kenny. Maybe you should have just gone for some grass from the field. Maybe you could have gotten away with that one. You could stuff that in your pocket.
I don't know. I mean, look, he wasn't one of the guys walking off with the field goal post, which was the most memorable, one of the most iconic, memorable things that I have imprinted in my brain as a Jets fan. When they literally were all tipped it over and together carried it out, and on their way out started ripping it into pieces. And there would be like one long piece carried by like 9 or 10 people. And I'm thinking, how did they intend to get that out of the parking lot?
Out of the parking lot, into their car, or on the train, through the door. I remember when we did the Benny's Pizza Challenge, I had enough trouble getting a 28-inch pizza box through my front door. I had to back up all the way, swing the door open all the way, make it like a full turn to the. How do you get that into your house? Or I guess you put it up in the backyard. I guess that would make sense. But
I don't know, turn it into a basketball hoop or something. It's interesting. He says the cops took it away, but I guarantee you it ended up in the garbage anyway, which is,
it's unfortunate.
It's like, You know, like I almost guarantee you the cops threw it away, that it ended up in the garbage anyway. So it was ridiculous that they even took it from them. So.
Oh, John Nolte with a very important question that has to be addressed. Does the Jets Lounge have wicker chairs?
You know what? The Jets Lounge could have anything you put your mind to. Use your own imagination. Because the cool thing about hanging out in the Jets Lounge is you do it at home, so you can pick the chair. You know, but when you go to the physical location at Staten Island, there's a bar that's the Jet Lounge, or the official Jet Lounge, where they meet for the games and everything. They also have a place in Brooklyn they meet for the draft. Those kind of places. They're the kind of chairs you'd find in the typical bar in Brooklyn or Staten Island.
Yeah, my chair will always be wicker, and my colors will always be green, white, and sometimes black.
Yeah.
It's pretty much that simple. So, I think I don't know what topics you might have in mind here, but I'll tell you what. How about we do something like, since technically it's your channel, how about you pick a topic, then I'll come up with a topic. We'll look for the chat to give us a topic here, because after a couple weeks off, I'm sure there's a number of ways that we can go here. So,
well,
do you have anything in particular on your mind today?
Well, I just, just to finish the thought of what with A-Rod, what was going on, I was like, it's amazing how fast the doom and gloom attitude just comes back. Like as soon as something went wrong, people freaking out, like same old Jets, and oh my God, he's injured, and like people, so the PTSD that we have and share as Jet fans it's there. It has to be acknowledged. Like we are all scarred. We've all experienced trauma with being fans of this team, and I think I'm going to choose to look at the situation as that was one of the best things that ever happened to the Jets. A quarterback, a key player, was limping and couldn't practice, and all it was a tweaked calf? Wow. Because in our history, with our luck, usually that's at least 4 to 6 games missed in the season.
No doubt about it. And hey, let us not forget, Zach Wilson comes onto the field and is completing passes all over the place. And all of a sudden, now it's a quarterback controversy. Not quite, but there are those who would want you to believe that could actually happen. So, hey, to me, it wasn't that big of a deal one way or another. The whole thing with these things, you just want them to get through it with no significant injuries. And by that, I mean anything that would affect training camp. And by the way, training camp is still 2 months away from even happening. So yeah, I have no concerns about that at all. There's still tweaks that are going to be made to this roster. There's a lot coming up. I mean, we know that the Jets brought in the punt god for a workout. That's the first team he visited, and I'm willing to bet he's going to visit more teams. Now, myself personally, I have no issue with this because he has basically been cleared by investigators of any wrongdoing. And it's not as if he's like a rookie punter. It's not as if he has enough clout like some people have where he could get away with it because of a name, because there is something to fame allowing you to get away with more. There is some truth to that. So to me, it's worth bringing him in. But even if they didn't sign him, I'm still fine rolling with Morstead. So
it's a can't lose situation. It's a situation where they're just looking to see if they can make the team better. Look, he was very, very clearly exonerated. Like there's visual evidence, cameras, video evidence that he wasn't even in the house. So so it's more than just they didn't have enough evidence. It's beyond that. They actually have evidence that he was not involved. So which is obviously the Jets wouldn't have him in there if they had any doubt or question that he could have been involved, because they're all about character and they would never break that code for a punter. It's just, if you're going to, there's no way you're going to be hypocritical and break that code for that position when you already have a punter you trust that's played, that in the past had done well for us. So to me, it's like competition's a good thing. And if the kid's punting 70-yard punts, 75-yard punts, All right, I'll take it.
One thing I've learned over the last couple of years, I think a lot of us here have, it's not just about distance, but what's your hang time like? Because Braden Mann could kick some long punts when he kicked it right, but too often they were too flat. And that's one reason why Jones of New England was able to return that touchdown, was because it was a relatively low punt. Can you pin the ball inside the 20? It's not just about your strength, but you got to have some touch on it too. But then again, when you factor in what this offense is looking like this year compared to last year, we may not need to punt the ball more than a couple times a game.
It's an amazing feeling, right? To be able to say that, to say, I don't know if we're going to have to punt that often, but every once in a while you have to punt from your own end zone.
It happens.
And in those moments, it's going to be a very big deal to have a guy who could, not just have the other team get the ball to the 50-yard line, but like maybe push them back to the 30 because he could punt it 70 yards. We watched, Miami benefit from that when they had Reggie Roby. I think that the thing that we have to look at is, does he have the ability to play the angles? Can he kick the ball out of bounds? Bounce it out of bounds with it in the 10-yard line? Like those skills matter too.
Right. And can he kick an onside kick as well as Braden Mann did last year? That's also a very important factor.
I was watching the replay. You were the one that DM'd it, that they were replaying the Cleveland Jet game. So I turned it on just in time.
Yep.
And when he went for that onside kick, and they were like, "No, it's Braden Mann, not Greg Zuerlein."
Yes.
It came back to me. I said, "Man, I was so mad at Braden Mann for so long. Like I had all this negative vibes for him, and I forgot. We lose that game. I mean, if it wasn't for, you only recover 14% of onside kicks. There's no way I would have wanted to have somebody else have kicked that ball, in hindsight. So maybe it was he stayed just long enough, and now it was the time for us to move on.
I think so. And also he had a fake pass earlier that game too. That was probably the best game of his career and had nothing to do with his punting ability. I think there's a question in here. I think Snowball asked, what's the story behind the Wacky K99 name? Yeah, I'll tell you the story again. So basically I went to a high school in the west suburbs of Chicago called Wheaton Academy. That's where I spent my first 2 years of high school. Were at St. Joe's in Metuchen, where, if you're a basketball fan, Jay Williams, Andrew Bynum, Karl Anthony Towns, they all went to St. Joe's. So moved out midway through, moved to Chicago, went to Wheaton Academy, graduated in 1999 when the Y2K scare was going on. So I turned it into WA2K, since we would just say WA for the high school for short. So WA2K, and I just put the 99 on the end of it. So yeah, it goes back to high school days, and it's pretty hard to imitate. Nobody else was going to come up with that username. So it just started with that. And then when I started the channel, I realized I needed something more descriptive than that. So I figured I'm WA2K99, but I need a more descriptive channel. And that story would take forever on the New York Sports Wicker Media, but let's just say it goes back to the Mother's Day Marathon 1 year ago this month. And it was about a year ago, I think this week, I started recording on a regular basis, and 600 subscribers later, man, so much has happened, man. And so much more good stuff is yet to come.
Yeah.
Very, very blessed.
Definitely exciting stuff. So Lazard, went out. It's kind of a funny story. He went to the trainer and all the fear. Oh, he's hurt already. And he tweeted on his own, guys, I got hit in the nads.
In the gonads, yeah.
I just needed to take a break, so I think we're okay there, hopefully he can still have kids. But as far as him playing and everything, we're okay there. So we did avoid some injuries. Look, when regular camp starts and they put the equipment on, we all know, that every team has to deal with it. You just wait for, the bomb to fall. Like, who's it going to be? And it might not be day 1 or day 2, but day 3. But at some point in camp, that you're going to get that tweet that somebody went down. Yep. And all you could hope is that it's not a key player and that it's not a serious injury when they do happen, and but they'll be back by, 10 days before the end of camp and they'll be ready for week 1. It's all you could do. I just hope that we don't, that we last year was so brutal with the whole Mekhi Becton, right from the start. So right away, Dwayne Brown, who we were already talking to, went from being the backup for depth to the guy starting that we had to worry if he gets hurt, we're done. So it was rough. It was rough. So, I'm just I'm glad that we are gonna go, like I'll be happy as long as we don't lose any key players for the entire freaking season. And then of course there was the Zach Wilson knee thing. At the time when we were still excited about him and thought he might pan out and take all over from where he left his first season, the last bunch of games. It was a bad, tough hit for us that we were upset about. So I think that we're prepared for anything after all of that.
Hank,
what's going on, Hank?
What's going on, man? Now I'm getting grooming tips here. John Hepburn, I should grow my hair out. Well, I will say this. I have not shaved in about 2 months. I have a kind of what I call a stress beard going on. When everything's going on, I try to stay away from razors. But I finally had to cut. My hair gets really thick and heavy in the back. So, I mean, I might let it go a little bit up top, but the back and sides, I can only let it go for so long before, I'm fortunate to have some thick hair. But the back and sides, it becomes too much, and I got to trim it down. So I might let the beard go a little bit, maybe a little bit more. But this up top, I don't think that's going to work for me. So Mark with a good question. Since I love trivia, what is longer, Matt Arise's average punt distance or the length of wood to make the wicker chair? Yeah, it was the chair by a single tree branch. So the chair just. Yeah, and I think the best question I got that night, did George Washington floss his teeth with your chair way back when? That's still my favorite.
That was the best night when everyone was just all night long putting in jokes about that chair you were sitting in.
9 p.m. to 3 in the morning. It was unbelievable. Like how crazy though. I still don't know how I didn't wake up the entire house to this day. But we 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. I mean, if anybody is just looking to laugh over stupid stuff, go to the Proud New York Jets fans channel and look up the Mother's Day marathon. It's like a 6-hour show from about a year ago. So you will laugh.
That was a crazy time. I was there for a few hours of it, I think.
Yeah, Buffalo was in, out, and in again. He made his little cameo appearances. It's like, we thought you were done for the night. He's like, I didn't think he'd be going this long. So. Where's the link? Want to join?
Oh, Steven thinks it's like Sunday. Hey, I could send you the link if you want to come in and say something. But this is our podcast show. It's not our call-in show, which is why there's no link to sign in. Like, we don't have people come on for this show unless we have invited guests. But we did talk about Steve coming on to do giveaways, to give updates about what's going on with the Jets Lounge, if there's any news. So I will send you that link so you have it, Steve, if you need to come on, if you want to make any announcements or whatever. But that's why you don't see a link right now, because it's a different kind of show. It's my Sunday show and other shows where I have people call in. Please give this to him. Okay, so he has the link if he needs it.
Steven, your time will come. Your voice will be heard. We promise.
No, Steve could come in on anytime he wants. I'll send him the link, because what he's going to do sometimes is he's going to come on and, I mean, obviously we want him to be able to advertise it first for us on Twitter, but he's going to do giveaways. He's going to come in and pop in once in a while and give giveaways on the show. But it doesn't make sense to just pop in and do it out of nowhere. It's like probably smarter to we in advance promote it and say,
absolutely,
come to the show and you could win this, that kind of thing. So he already gave a signed Garrett Wilson card away or something like that. So
that's pretty good. Well, is it with the number 17 or is it with the number 5? Because with the 17, it's now a vintage card.
I'm sure it's 17. So
yeah, those 17s are going to become rare collector items eventually. And if Garrett somehow has a rough start to the season, there's going to be like one group of Jets fans. Go back to number 17. You were better when you were 17, Garrett. Can't you just imagine that happening?
And here's the bad news is that he's going to come on and give away these great prizes, and you and I are not eligible to win because that would look rigged.
That would look rather rigged. I mean, outside of the only thing that could be less rigged than that is Leo. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Leo wins everything. So.
Leo Vernaccio, who wins everything that Green Bean has ever given away on his channel.
He does. I think Leo actually owns 50% of Manscaped now. I think he just made the purchase.
We have to see how Becton performs at a lower weight. I think that's an interesting topic. I'm not as concerned or upset about Becton wanting to play left tackle. I think that Saleh in his press conference kind of cleared it up and said, there's no issue, guys. He knows that we're going to make our decision based on what's best for the team. He's just pumping himself up, pushing himself as the left tackle. But Saleh didn't see that there was going to be any problems in the locker room over it. Like, I think the thing that's working against Becton is that Dwayne Brown might be it's not even if Becton is the better left tackle, they might prefer Dwayne Brown and Becton over Becton and Max Mitchell because Dwayne Brown doesn't play right tackle. So it'd have to be Max Mitchell or Carter Warren. So they might say, well, the best 5, even though Becton's better at left tackle, the best 5 and the best thing for the team is to have possibly Dwayne Brown at left tackle and Becton at right tackle. And Becton's just going to have to be a team player, and that's just the way it's going to have to be.
It makes sense. I do think, by the way, our first reserve tackle, the first option would be Billy Turner. I think it's going to be Turner first, then Mitchell. I think they're only go to Carter. I think Carter Warren is in the Max Mitchell role from last year. I think the intent is to sort of redshirt him, and you only play him unless you not unless you absolutely have to play him and you don't have another option.
No.
Now,
deep. We're deep. If you're telling me Max Mitchell
deep.
tackle number 4, that's deep because he played well.
Yeah, and Billy Turner's fine as a swing tackle. He can play either position, and you still can go to AVT at right tackle if you absolutely need to. I mean, along with Laken Tomlinson, you have Tristan Colon. You have Wes Schweitzer. You could even put – exactly, that was my next point. You could even sneak McGovern over into guard. I think he'd be willing to, assuming Joe – they want Joe Tippmann to take that center job.
Oh, I hope so.
But that's going to be a position battle that I think might get a little bit overshadowed by the tackle situation. But yeah, the center position definitely bears watching. But you know what? Becton could say he's a left tackle. You know what? If he's good enough when Brown likely leaves after the season, great. He could have an opportunity to take it. Now I know the option was declined, and the Jets were absolutely right to decline his option. I am actually wondering what the best case scenario is for Becton as far as being a Jet, because if he has too good of a season, that could be the writing on the wall for him leaving. Somebody else might blow him out of the water. It's fascinating to see what's going to.
Uh-oh. Hopefully that was Adam that locked up. And just to test it, I'm going to bring Steve on. I'm going to bring Sack Exchange on from the Jets Lounge. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, guys?
Looks like Adam.
Right here.
It's a good time for you to make your announcement.
I'm right here, I think.
Oh, you're back. Okay.
Look,
I didn't go anywhere, I didn't think.
I just wanted to come in, obviously doing a great job at the lounge, and I love that jersey, by the way. He's wearing. I prefer it over the jerseys we currently have, but I won't go into that. You know how I can't stand the jerseys we have, but that jersey, the one he's wearing right now, the black one, no sashes, just get beautiful. Get away from the sashes.
Let's get there's the logo. There's the Jet logo right down there.
Yeah.
And another one on this side too. So
yeah, it's really nice. No, I just want listen. I'm gonna come in and want to say a few things, and I'm gonna leave. But I don't know if you've been paying attention to how many people are so sick of. Forget about Colin Cowherd. We already know what he's about.
Oh.
But then Joy Taylor today, then Stephen A. Smith today, where Dan Orlovsky was just getting like almost like scolded for facts, like scolded for actual facts. So Orlovsky has us competing for a Super Bowl. Stephen A is saying, and along with Mad Dog Russo over there, saying, "Oh, yeah, I mean, what? First of all, their argument is, when's the last time the Jets been good?" Which that's an asinine argument.
Asinine.
Because it's like, well, so because we're not good 2 years ago or last year, we can't be good this year. Like Steve, Dan Orlovsky mentioned the Bengals. He also mentioned the Buccaneers. He's like, the Buccaneers were good, but they didn't go to the Super Bowl until they got a quarterback. So, and they were in the desert for many, many, many years. So I'm sick. It's so sickening to hear. I try to not pay attention to it, but as Jet fans, we do get aggravated because it's like, first of all, he said Garrett Wilson, we'll see. He's like, first of all, Stephen A said he's not sold. He's not sold. The reason why he doesn't think we're going to compete for a Super Bowl or even make it past the first round of playoffs is because he's not sold on Alan Lazard. Not sold on Alan Lazard. He's like, and Garrett Wilson.
What?
He also said that Garrett Wilson was a surprise last year. Nobody was keen on Garrett Wilson. So when nobody's paying attention to you, he said, when no one's paying attention to you, of course you could have big numbers. But this year they're going to be looking for him.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Like after the Raven game, nobody was paying attention to Garrett Wilson, right? Like he wasn't on anybody's radar. He just slipped below the radar. I think these people, I swear to God, this is why I love your show. This is why I Green Bean. We do it in the lounge. Is because you guys, and I wrote in there, I says, when the fans know more than these actual talking heads, this is why people tune out. We're supposed to respect you like you're some type of expert, but you're really not.
Yeah.
And Joy Taylor, real quick, Joy Taylor, I called her out too. She's over there saying, and I have the video. If you check on Twitter and go on my account, I have the video of it. She says, they were asking Shady and the other gentleman were asking her. So she was like, there are other teams. She's like, they're the Jets. Let's be honest with ourselves. They're the Jets. Like, that's their argument. We're the Jets. And then she goes on to say, she's like, there are other teams that should be in the conversation for Super Bowl too that have success in the past few years and are a successful, talented franchise. So Shady kept saying, who? Who else? Who besides the Bengals, the Chiefs? Who else? She goes, well, for one, the Chargers. And then he rolled his eyes. And then she said the Jaguars. And they were like, what? And she goes, they've been significantly better than the Jets the last 3 years.
Oh, my God.
What?
What is she looking at? They had the worst record when they took Trevor Lawrence.
What?
This is
We beat them 2 years ago.
Yeah. She's talking about, what is she talking about? Last year? Okay, they were 9-8. Fantastic.
They'll win the division because it sucks. They're pretty much guaranteed to get a playoff spot. Congratulations. Let me ask this question. Do these people use the same argument that the Detroit Lions are going to be terrible this year because they haven't been good since Barry frickin' Sanders was on their team? Do they apply that same stupid logic to Detroit that they do for the Jets?
That exactly. The point is, no one had, like Shady said, no one had the Bengals in anything until they got Burrow, and then they, it's like you're getting a quarterback, all of a sudden you're good, So the Bengals, and then he brought up the Buccaneers. Orlovsky did. He goes to Mad Dog's thing about they haven't been good in all these years. He said, where were the Buccaneers until they got Brady? Where were they? They were a good team with a quarterback away.
Yeah, it's so stupid. I mean, Stephen A., first of all, is a basketball guy.
Yep.
Right. So I mean, and it shows just how spread thin they are. They get some writers who give them some simple facts, and it's just thrown out there. And it's so annoying because it's like, okay, you're just basically taking every fan that's not a Jet fan in the league that doesn't know a lot about the Jets, and you're giving them a narrative that they can go think. And every Jet fan who is paying attention and knows this team is looking at you like you're a moron.
Yeah,
you just don't know what you're talking about.
And the thing that boggles my mind, and maybe you guys think differently than me, So Stephen A was like, I mean, look at the team like the Ravens. Now that's a team, and I'm telling you, they've got actual weapons. And I'm like thinking, what's the weapons? He goes on to say, well, they got OBJ and they got Devin Duvernay, baby. Who are these guys? First of all, OBJ would have been our third wide receiver, and Devin Duvernay.
I mean, they drafted Zay Flowers, as I recall. Now that's probably that's the receiver I would fear the most on their team. I mean, Mark Andrews is a very good tight end, but how much has he really done? I mean, with Baltimore, he'll have a very good game, but then he'll disappear. So, I mean, the weapons on Baltimore, please, they made a little bit of an upgrade, but they're nowhere near the same stratosphere as the top teams in the AFC when it comes to skill position talent.
You got to look at that tweet later. Orlovsky goes on to, he says he did some facts. I sent that a congratulate. Thank you, Dan. I got to speak to him at camp, Dan. He goes all the time. Great guy. And he goes, the Jets, I can't even tell you, I'm exhausted. He said something about is Aaron Rodgers good enough he asked them, is Aaron Rodgers good enough for an extra touchdown a game? Because the Jets lost 5 games where they didn't score a touchdown the entire game. So he said, if he is, they were like, yeah, probably an extra touchdown a game. He goes, okay, then they would have 12 wins last year.
Yeah.
12 wins last year. Yeah, I mean, we lost 5 games when we allowed 20 points or less. That shows you how bad the offense was. I mean, the defense had to be practically, I don't want to say perfect, but close to perfect because the quarterback play was so substandard for the majority of the season last year.
And that goes right back to the point for Garrett Wilson. You're sitting there saying, oh, teams aren't keying on him. First of all, when Corey Davis was hurt, who were they keying on? Second of all, we had the worst quarterback play in the NFL. We were 32nd in the NFL in quarterback play, and the guy got 1,100 yards and 83 receptions as a rookie. So how do you sit there and they get paid to spit that shit out? That's what's amazing.
Dude, I'm going to go because I'm not going to, this is your guys' show. I'm just going to say this. The media is just going to keep moving the goalposts. That's what they're doing. So now it's like if the Jets make the playoffs, that's not good enough, right? If they win a game in the playoffs, that's not good enough. So now it's like, oh, if the Jets get to the, say, AFC championship game and we lose, that won't be good enough either. They either got to, now they set it up where, oh, you guys got Aaron Rodgers, you think you're good? All right, you better win the Super Bowl. You don't win the Super Bowl, we're gonna come after you. That's how they do it. And I don't know what about the Jets pisses off the media. I really don't know. I don't know what we did to them. I don't know if it's Woody and Johnson. I don't know, and I'll say it. I don't know what it is. Did Woody, he went to go work for Trump in the UK? Is that what pisses them? I don't know what about the Jets pisses them off. And I just said something that a lot of people won't say because I'm trying to figure out here, what about the Jets? Is it the color? Well, the Eagles got green, so I don't think it's what about the Jets that pisses everybody off, including other fan bases? I want to know.
I think because I got a number of ideas. I think number one, there are a lot of notable Jets fans who are out there in the media and in public. So I think that there's a little bit of a back and forth with the Greenbergs, with the Eisens, guys like that. But they know how crazy this fan base is, and you just proved it, how passionate we are, and that we will defend our team at the drop of a hat. Because we're used to being little brother. We don't even have our own stadium, for crying out loud. I mean, we've been little brother, like going back to the beginning in Shea Stadium with the Mets. That was really the Mets stadium. Let's be real about it. Yep. So we have this little brother complex in our minds. And if somebody tries to reinforce it, we will bite back at them. And it's very hard for them. They're worried. That's what it is. They're worried that they're not going to have us to kick around anymore, that they got to find a new target, because all of a sudden we are on the ascent, and we have been for a couple of years now. But now the slow ascent has the chance to go straight up into freaking orbit, and they can't mentally handle our success. That's what it is.
Couldn't have said it better. You know what? There's 2 things that I wish for this franchise besides winning a Super Bowl. One, please get out of MetLife. You had all this money to build a state-of-the-art facility, and you shit the bed on that. Because if you look in Las Vegas, you can look in Atlanta with the Mercedes, all these facilities that were built in the last 5 years are so much better than MetLife. You built the giant air conditioner essentially, and then they say, oh, you couldn't build a dome. So some people say, why don't you have a dome there in MetLife? Oh, you can't build it. I did this research and find out why that couldn't have been a dome, and it came back to me that the ground that MetLife is built on cannot withstand the pressure, the weight of a dome on top, because it's unsettled, swampy land. I don't know what it is, but that was the reason. That's number one. Number two, Green Bean would love this, but I know this can't happen because I actually asked the actual Jets about this, and they told me why they can't. You're the New York Jets. You're the only team in the NFL that doesn't have a flyover with actual jets. I mean, you got helicopters. Just stop the helicopters. It's stupid. It's just dumb. So go get some real jets and fly them over the stadium. But you can't do that because I was told that the airports surrounding it, you got Newark right there. You got Teterboro. So you can't do that. So that's out the window. Get yourself a new stadium. And also, this year's the 5-year rule. Get rid of these jerseys that have nothing to do with what we are or what we've ever been. They're stained with Adam Gase's face all over them. First of all, those guys that were on there that showed them off, they were miserable. They're not even on the team anymore. Think about it.
CJ's the only one. CJ's it. Yeah, the other 6 are all gone.
Yep. So get rid of these and that logo. That logo, and I don't know if you guys love the 80s logo. I do personally. Go back to a logo that actually has something to do with us. It has a wing on it. I like the 80s logo. It's clean. Get rid of the sashes. And people out there in your world here that are listening in, I'll tell you right now, the one thing people are going to say, I love the black uniforms. That's what they say. So they'll say, if you say change the uniforms, they'll say, yeah, but we love the black ones. That's okay. We're smart enough where we could come up with our own black uniforms, because guess what? If you go back to the 80s logo, yes, you can have a black alternative, and I'm sure that they would. But do away with those sashes. It looks more high school. Go back to a clean look. And I know there's other people, Jeremy, that are going to say, I don't care what they look like as long as we win. Well, guess what? I have a word for them too. I think that we could walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. I think that we can figure out how to win and also improve. Because to me, honestly, when I look at this, and I'm not the only one in this, you see I got tons of followers on Twitter, and we all agree. I almost feel embarrassed for Aaron Rodgers to wear that uniform on him. It looks terrible. The logo looks like clip art. That's for sure. That new logo. Now, shiny helmets, I'm a favorite of it. I like it. Mm-hmm. But that logo looks like clip art. Like a high schooler could have put it together. We got guys on Twitter that put uniforms together. I think I showed you, Jeremy, that are gorgeous. I mean, I can't imagine that they designed them and our actual team couldn't design them. That's all. That's my rant for the day. That's it.
Well, everybody knows how I feel. Everybody knows how I feel about the 80s logo. I mean, I got it painted onto my arm. So nobody would be happier in the world if we go back to that logo than me, because I could say I was ahead of our time, baby.
If they want to me, if they used that logo but with the newer colors, I would be good with that. I don't care for the light green, the Kelly green. I'd never liked that look. They could even keep the numbers. I don't even mind the numbers all that much. But yeah, if they wanted to bring that and put like the Jets, but like that Jets wing logo like here, that would look really sweet. I'm definitely for that.
I agree. I think it's.
Was that me or him?
That's him.
Okay, just making sure. Well, that's one way to make an exit, I think.
This is what will be given.
He's back.
This what?
You disappeared for a minute.
Oh, I was the glitch. I'm going to show you guys what we're going to give them next week. You ready?
All right. Let's see it.
Wow. You're telling me you're giving that away next week?
That's right. On your show, The Lounge, we do things differently. We're generous. and we give out nice things. We don't ask for anything back. We don't even ask for shipping. We do it. The reason why we do it, you know why we do it. We do it because I get the comments I get back from people that absolutely enjoy it, or some can't afford it. Well, now they can. That's how we make things right in this world. At least we try a little bit at a time. But yes, this is Name It. This is framed. It's pretty big. I have to ship it, and it has all the facsimile like of the cards that he had throughout the year, starting from his rookie card, and then on and on and on.
Wow.
So that's what we'll do. This other thing here, I can't, since I'm moving, everything's here, ready to go. But I can't give this away because T-Rich gave me this one, Tony Richardson.
Oh my God!
There's that old Jet logo right there.
Nice, Marty Lyons.
Like that.
Yeah, it's got Marty Lyons. It's autographed. It's 12 out of 13. Yeah, can't do that. He would kill me.
Yeah.
It's like I got a question for you. You know, I don't know if you know this, but I'm known for doing trivia questions and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So Marty Lyons did something in his Jets career 2 times that no other Jet has ever done. Do you know what it is?
2 times that no Jet has ever done?
Ever done. Yeah, they've either done it 0 times or 1 time in their career. But Marty Lyons did one thing twice over the course of his career. Do you know what it might be?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a weird way to kind of ask the question, but since you show Marty Lyons, I just figured I'd ask the question. Jeremy, do you know where I might be going with this?
I don't know. I don't remember.
He was the only Jet ever to record 2 safeties on defense.
Wow.
Forced multiple safeties. No other Jet has ever done that twice. A couple did it once, but no other Jet did it twice. Only Marty Lyons.
And that's why Watson K99 is the king of trivia.
Right.
I'm the king of trivia and pain.
I'm going to head out, but the week after, I have this, and I'm going to just do it as a giveaway just because I know you have a lot of video game folks out there. And it has nothing to do with the Jets, but this is something that I would like to give it to somebody because I'm not using it a lot, although I'm an old school gamer. This right here is that double joystick, attaches to the TV, it all lights up, and it's got like 5,000, I think there's 10,000 old school games on there. So if someone out there could use it, that's what we're going to do. We're going to give it. So
nice.
You know what? I don't know about you guys, but I remember Street Fighter and all those games, and it's got like, and they're all HD quality, hook up to the TV. It's nice. So, you know, we don't always Jet stuff. Could be other stuff, fun stuff, you know, for you guys. So, look, I took enough of your time. Appreciate you guys. A lot of love here.
All right, buddy.
Right,
Thanks for coming in. We'll definitely advertise during the week that giveaway for next week's show for sure. So we get as many people in here as possible to have an opportunity to win.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I'll see you. And bye to everybody out there, you know, that's tuning in. See you.
Take care, Sarah. Love you, bro. All right.
Okay. Well, I know we were talking about offensive line before.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can pick that up. But, yeah, I guess the whole point I wanted to make was it's going to be very interesting to see if Becton is on this team, whether he has a good season or a bad season. It could really go I don't know what the best scenario is where Becton stays as a Jet. I just think it's a situation where the team is going to want to move on from him no matter what kind of season he has.
Well, what if he's completely dominant? I mean, do you think there's a chance we tag him?
He may want out. Yeah, I believe me. He's not going to have any loyalty to the Jets based off his recent comments about the coaches. He's got no loyalty to this team at all. I mean, now he did say also in the interview he was excited for training camp as he's ever been. Now, that quote gets ignored, let's be honest, because people want to just run with the negative stuff Becton says. He did say some positive things as well, but I really think I think he knows this is his opportunity. If he doesn't do it this year, it may be his last chance. But I would think right now, if I had to put a percentage on it, I think after the season, I think not 85 to 90% chance he leaves. I really don't think he's going to last more than another 12 months here. I don't.
Well, I think that's why a lot of I think a lot of Jet fans, that was why they wanted to pick Broderick Jones when we thought we were going to have the chance. I think a lot of people wanted us to use a first round pick on a tackle for that very reason. I think they think Dwayne Brown obviously is going to retire. This will be his last year, that we're not going to be able to retain Becton.
Right.
And then it's going to be, okay, who's left?
Warren Mitchell. I mean, are these guys going to be ready for that? It's a heck of a question. You may have to dip back into free agency. So, I mean, Billy Turner's probably here for 1 year as a swing guy, and that's totally good. But, you want to be able to – tackle's not a position you want to be switching every year to 2 years. That's a position you want stability, like we had with Ferguson for all those years,
Yeah, there's also the point that we don't have a first round pick.
Oh, yeah, there's that detail, isn't there?
So
I'm so far away from thinking about next year's draft.
Yeah, I mean, but the reality is it just might be like a really impossible situation as far as how we're going to acquire a quality tackle if we lose Becton.
Mm. It is quite the thought. I mean, I don't know what kind of a deal he would take. I mean, I saw tag him. I mean, if you're referring to franchising him, are you going to pay Becton the average of the top 5 tackles in the NFL? I mean, that's going to be a lot of change, going to him. I mean, he's got to play a whole season and be really good. He has to earn our trust back. He has to earn back the trust of his coaches and his teammates, because right now he's unreliable.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love for him to work out, and believe me, I don't exactly have a whole lot of love for Mekhi Becton. I think he's very overly sensitive, and that does worry me. But we know he can maul when he plays and when he's on the field. He can be fantastic. So it's time for him to remind us of how good he is when he's healthy.
Yeah. And look, I mean, we'll see what happens. They might decide that the best combination is Becton at left tackle and one of those other guys at right tackle, and that's how it plays out. And then Becton will be very happy, right? So,
yep, absolutely.
But we do have the ability to tag him. We can franchise tag him. He can't stop us from doing that.
I mean, for 1 year, it might be. What's the? I gotta look this up. What's the current franchise tag as far as that goes? I gotta look that up for left tackles. I guess. Yeah, I would think so. Franchise tag tackle. Here's all right. So here's the whole thing. The transition tags. Oh, it's for any offensive lineman. This year it was $18.24 million. Do we want to pay Becton $18 million next year for one season?
It depends on how good he is. What if he's a beast this year? What if he's like the top 3 in the NFL?
Then that'd be fantastic. This is amazing to me. Offensive lineman, if you look at the franchise tag, it's $18.24 million. Can you believe that a linebacker is higher? $20.93 million is what it costs to franchise tag a linebacker.
Aren't we glad that our defense is schemed in a way that we don't value linebackers enough to ever pay that kind of money for one, except for C.J. Mosley, because we were stuck with the contract when J.D. took over.
I mean, I would have loved Roquan Smith, but holy freaking crap, man. No. That is unbelievable. No wonder you have to sign these guys to those types of contracts. But, yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is the second lowest, if you look at the lowest outside of kicker punter, the lowest paid position for franchise tag is running back at $10.1 million. The second lowest is tight end at $11.36. It's interesting to me that that's lower than, say, safety, linebacker. I do find that a little bit surprising. So If the Jets make it to the Super Bowl, the market for left tackle agents will be rolling in coming to the Jets. Hey, especially if Rodgers is still around next season, assuming that he plays more than one season. I expect him to. But if it's going back to Zach Wilson, is there quite the urgency for tackles to come to the Jets to protect number 2? I don't know.
Yeah.
Something worth thinking about. I think it's really about if AR stays around. Trade Becton, he's been so unreliable that he won't be missed. You say that until you start having injuries like we did this past year.
Well, we just have to see how he's going to play. I mean, he got me excited his rookie year. I thought he was pretty special. So
Oh yeah.
he comes out and he starts looking like that guy, or even better. It's going to be hard to have the attitude of, oh, just let him go. Who cares?
He was shutting down Nick Bosa his rookie year, as I recall. He was the only player he had legitimate issues with was Myles Garrett, and there's not a whole lot of shame in a rookie getting beat by Myles Garrett a couple times.
Right. And he was just incredible with the run blocking.
Oh, yeah, ridiculous. I mean, and he could run too. I mean, could you imagine if? I know that's not my phone. Is the Chinese food on its way, Jeremy?
No, that's my wife.
Okay. Hi, Mrs. Jeremy. But yeah, I mean, imagine Becton opening those holes. Now we know it's now Mackay, but a healthy Mackay, that makes Lincoln Tomlinson look that much better, because that is a player we need to have a bounce back season. And that cannot be forgotten, that the performance of Tomlinson last year was unacceptable for his contract. He got restructured. Now, if he's playing in between Becton and Joe Timmon at an upgraded center, that should make his job a whole lot easier. Yeah. So, yeah, I think a healthy Becton helps Tomlinson immensely.
I know it's kind of early for this kind of talk. I don't disagree with that, but at the same time, it's not, because we're in the middle of a dead period. So we got to talk about something. And I think that you have to sometimes acknowledge and think about the future of the team too. Like I'm excited about this year. This year's going to be great. I'm going to enjoy it. But there's a blatant and obvious question, and it's like you kind of just want to address that too. And that question just is, we're going to be losing a couple of tackles next year. Like, we don't have people locked up for next year. So it's just a matter of, okay, what do you think we're going to do moving forward? Do you think the young guys we have are going to be good enough to fill those holes? Or not? That's what it really comes down to. I'm not panicking over it. I'm just having a conversation about it. I hope it is a problem. Like, in other words, I hope that Becton is so good that it becomes a problem. Like, how are we going to live without this guy? It's a good problem to have. It's better than, screw him, he stinks anyway. Like, if he's not good this year, then it's just like, well, I guess we can get him for $6 million a year because nobody else is offering him any money. But like, if he's amazing, that's a good problem to have, because that means we're going to have a great year.
Yeah, so I want Connor, Cimini, Costello, Hughes, all these guys, Rosenblatt, all these guys, to be writing articles saying, well, the Jets suddenly the Jets are getting the best case scenario, but could it also be the worst case scenario with Becton? He had a great year, but now can they afford him? Well, we've all learned over the years the salary cap is a freaking myth. So there is always a way to make it work. Always.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like I keep saying, whenever we draft these stars, even some reporters had asked after last year's draft, how are you going to pay these guys one day? And JT smiled and said, boy, I hope that's our problem in 4 years. Like, I hope in 4 years our problem is we drafted a bunch of stars and now we have to worry about paying them. What a great problem.
We're not used to that.
Yeah.
we're used to drafting these guys in the top 10 and just praying they actually work out.
Right. Like, as opposed to what? Drafting guys we know are going to be bad, so we don't have to worry about how we re-sign them.
Translation, every pick after the first round, where we for years, every pick from the 2nd to the 7th round, it was just like, well, I hope it works out. But we never expected them to be contributors. Our typical hope would be, well, they could contribute on special teams. Maybe they'll become a solid starter. We don't expect these guys to become impact players. But we've seen some impact players come from day 2 and day 3 of the draft. And how cool is that? This is what the best teams do. This is what Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, New England, that's what these teams were always able to do, is find that late talent. Now Joe Douglas is showing glimpses. He knows how to go out and get it. And that's something to be super excited about as Jets fans. Doing well what the other teams don't do well.
Yeah.
Hader Ali, good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by here.
Hader Ali is the man. Oh, he's not out of shape now, and that's what matters. I'm super excited. Super excited about the potential of this team. Dwayne Brown healthy, Becton coming back. having these other guys backing them up. Hopefully Mitchell will come back fine. Picking up a guy from Green Bay who knows the system, who Aaron Rodgers trusts. I like it. I think that our defense, I think they did a great job in maintaining the players. I think we're running it back with most of the key guys pretty much. We've added to it with McDonald. I think Clark was a great addition at safety. And I think that one of the other pieces for the defense that's going to make them significantly better is just simply having an offense that doesn't put them on the field all day.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about the defense for a little bit because it's a very tricky thing about this defense. Now, one of the best things they have going for them, yes, the offense, driving down the field and the defense not needing to make allow one first down and the other team's in field goal range. It seemed like there were so many drives last year where the other team was starting around midfield and the defense had to make a big stand. And oftentimes they did. They did do that. But we have to factor in a couple of things. I mean, they were fourth in points and yards allowed. And I think they were tied for fifth in sacks. They have 45 sacks on the year, but it could be even better. It really can be better. One thing that we cannot overlook was the health. This was the healthiest defense, I would dare say, in football last year. I mean, Quincy missed a couple games. Quinnen missed one game. Sheldon missed maybe two. But outside of that, the defense was incredibly healthy last year. You can't count on that happening again. And I hate to choke things up to luck. I hate it. I think it's like a cop-out. But when it comes to injuries, sometimes you do have to get a little bit lucky. And I feel like last year we did as far as the defense goes. And the other thing, again, I'll keep coming back to it. There has to be an emphasis by Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich to take the ball away. 2 years ago, the Jets were 31st in the league in takeaways. This past year, they were 29th in takeaways. I think they had one takeaway the last 6 games of the year. That's not going to be good enough. Because can you imagine if we start getting some takeaways and we're giving Aaron Rodgers, we're getting him set up on the 50-yard line, and he just has to go down half the field with this offense? Oh, my gosh. You're talking about putting drives together, putting scoring 2-3 touchdowns in a quarter. It can really happen. But I want the defense to be more aggressive, to be a little bit more aggressive. And there needs to be an emphasis. Remember during the season, there were so many times we're talking about, can we bring a coach in to teach these guys how to recover a fumble? It felt like every week, right? The other team would fumble the ball a time or two, and we'd never, ever, ever get the ball. It was just really, really frustrating.
Only one time did we get the ball, but we needed to get the ball, and that was in that Cleveland game on the onside kick.
That was the one time, right? Slightly different scenario, but yeah, that is absolutely true. And we're going to be facing much better quarterbacks. It can't be forgotten. We faced 5-6 backup quarterbacks last year, and that's when we won a whole lot of games against. The only real starters that we beat were Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. That's real. Other than that, who are we beating? Jacoby Brissett, Skylar Thompson. Teddy Bridgewater, who became Skylar Thompson, whoever, Trevor Siemian, whoever was playing the backup for the Bears that day for Justin Fields. So, what are we really talking about here? And that's why, and I said this, it makes more and more sense to me now why the Jets drafted Will McDonald, because you cannot get to these quarterbacks enough. And yes, the Jets had a lot of sacks, but there were a lot of times when they couldn't get there. The Jets had one of the best sack numbers, but as far as actually generating the pressure, that didn't always happen. When they got to the quarterback, they often got the sack. But sometimes you just have to create the pressure and hurry the throw. That could be almost as valuable as a sack sometimes, almost as valuable. So that's one reason why I'm as excited as I am to see what Will McDonald can potentially do in this defense.
Yeah, when you think about Carl Lawson, Will McDonald, Bryce Huff,
Michael Clemens, JJ.
And JFM, just as the outside guys. And then Clemens is an outside guy. I think they're going to use him a little bit on the inside now, I would imagine. I'm imagining JJ and Clemens playing a lot in the running down type situations, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, 3rd and 2. I'm kind of imagining a situation where you might see more of, JJ and Clemens. Clemens got to get his snaps. He's good. He's effective. He made some huge plays for us. I think people really overlook it. And JJ is so good at stealing that edge. So, like you'll see him get more snaps. Anytime we play like the Bills and it's Josh Allen, that's when you want JJ in there and JFM because they're so good at bouncing off blocks when Josh Allen takes off. If he goes for any of the if he goes for any of the edges and tries to get around, those are the guys you want in there to bounce off and get him and track him down. So it's strategic, they're going to rotate those guys strategically. I love the addition of McDonald because I think McDonald could be the guy that goes the other guys are all really good. Carl Lawson, lots of pressures. Yeah. Bryce Huff has a great jump, a great get off, causes a lot of pressure. I think McDonald might finally be the guy potentially that actually gets the 15, 16 sacks. That actually is the stud that actually finishes. And, because he's so fast and he gets there so quickly when he lines up wide.
Yeah, I think Lawson, though, is going to have a better year this year than he did last year. I really do. I think another year removed from Achilles surgery will only make him better. I think there's something to be said for that. But we know with this defense, I mean, at the very most in a game, nobody's going to play more than 70% of the snaps. And that includes Q. That includes number 95. So when your next defensive tackles are Quentin Jefferson, Al Woods, Solomon Thomas, Tanzel Smart, wake me up if I'm forgetting anybody, but that's pretty much what we have. I was amazed we didn't draft a defensive tackle. I was stunned by it. I think that's why I agree with you when you say, you could see Clemens possibly moving inside a little bit. They're not going to play JFM inside very rarely, except maybe on a few passing situations. They are not big into JFM playing inside. And from what I saw, I think the Jets X guys put some stats up. He tended to be a little bit more productive from the outside anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe the Jets actually did know something that the rest of us didn't, as far as that goes. But yeah.
Clemens is more the guy I see that I thought was really effective, just because of his strength and his power. Like he absorbs his block that he's supposed to block, but he doesn't get moved, so he fills the gap. Like he's a guy you could definitely use in the middle to clog up the middle of the line, to stop any runs through the, through the tackles. So that's how, I see him like that. He has that potential, but he's also really good, as a pass rusher. It's just, my God, we have too many guys and too few spots. It's just like, what are you going to do? I can imagine, I can't imagine, but can you imagine like where they do a thing where it's McDonald, Carl Lawson, JFM, and Clemens in the middle, just for Quinton Williams and JFM in the middle, just to be an all-out blitz, like
So Quinn and JFM in the middle, and on the outside, what, McDonald and Lawson?
Yeah.
Or do you want Huff?
No, McDonald and Lawson on a 3rd and 15.
All right.
And, maybe you know what? You go with the 5-man line.
Why not go with a 5-man? Hey, I'll sacrifice one of the linebackers to throw in an extra. Why not?
Line up Carl Lawson like he's a linebacker, but then have him blitz also with McDonald, and then have Huff on the other side.
Hey, John. Yeah, first week, Josh Allen. This is our division now. Actually, no. Maybe we do need the. We probably should leave JJ on the field too, because he could run Allen down as we have learned.
Yeah,
that's still one of my favorite plays from last year when he just took Josh Allen down that game. That was so cool.
Yeah. I mean that the way we played against Josh Allen, everybody is so worried that he's gonna. But they'll have a different game plan. It might not be. It might be that we're going to be a thorn in Josh Allen's side until he proves that he could figure out our defense. We just match up well against them. Why? Because we have cornerbacks who can cover, and we have defensive linemen who can contain him and seal the edge. We have a good combination of where our strengths are to stop that kind of quarterback, which is why I'm excited to see how we do against Kansas City as well, and how we can match up against Mahomes.
Oh, there's so many teams, that are just going to be insane matchups like all season long. especially in the beginning of the season. I mean, facing Philadelphia, can we finally break that jinx?
That's a bad matchup, though, for us.
It's a little. I don't know what a good matchup is for Philadelphia, to be perfectly honest. But
well, I mean,
you'd
have to start with a team that has an incredible ability without stacking the box to stop the run. You know, so you got to think, what are the defenses that have really great interior defensive players, linebackers, guys that can stuff the run without having to put 8 men in the box. I don't see it as the Jets. Like, I think it's a bad matchup for us because we struggle against teams that like Hurts will take the little things. He'll dump off little passes to running backs. They'll run the ball really well. I think that's the thorn in our side. I think that's why we struggled against Cleveland. We struggled against them, even with Brissett as the quarterback, because they have because they have two strong, Chubb and Hunt, two strong running backs. Like, I think teams that have very strong running games give us the biggest fits.
One thing that we always heard, I think Salah even said this early on in his Jets tenure, said the one weakness with this defense is it's going to leave us prone to screen passes and those types of passes. Yeah. I think even when the defense is at its best, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that we have to face. But if they are covering well and they're getting to the quarterback now and then, I mean, you could deal with like one big play getting them down the field as long as the defense is making impact plays. Anyway, wow. Is my time up? I don't know. Are you bringing in Tigo now?
Please don't stop texting me. She knows I'm on the air. Stop texting me.
I have no such problems, I can assure you. Oh boy, that totally got me. That was pretty funny. But
she's all upset because they left out the capers in the recipe box that sent us, and it's not picante. It's what's the name of that tomato sauce with the olives and the capers in it?
Puttanesca.
Puttanesca. So how are we going to have puttanesca without capers?
You can't have piccata without the capers either. I mean, yeah. I like me some capers. I made like a Mediterranean tuna salad the other day, and definitely had some capers in there for sure.
Yeah. So that's what all that texting is about. She's freaking out.
She's freaking out over capers.
Well, I mean, I figured that we still have we could just we have our own green olives plus what they sent us. Just use more green olives in the recipe.
Not an olive guy. No, not that. So if there's a mystery trying to find capers, would that make it a caper?
It's too late for me to go out and get it. Puttanesca is the greatest. Yeah. I had yesterday I cooked, and what's that? The Moscone cheese?
Mascarpone? Mascarpone?
Yeah, mascarpone cheese.
Yeah. That's a food, guys.
I took mascarpone cheese. I mixed it into the linguine with half a cup of the water I used to cook the pasta.
Right.
I put that cheese in. I put grated pecorino in.
Oh yeah.
I mixed that in, some lemon juice, and I had previously cut up and crisped prosciutto. I mixed in prosciutto, and I mixed in like a cup of peas, green peas. And that was a hell of a dish. And some butter to thicken it.
Not bad. All right, not bad.
Hell of a dish.
Yeah, I did a little broccoli casserole. This actually turned out really well. So cook the broccoli in advance, like 2 pounds of it. Made a roux, with butter and flour, added the whole milk, some salt, fresh nutmeg. Like, fresh nutmeg is so important. Like, the canister nutmeg, it goes bad in like a couple weeks. Can't be using that. So let that boil, simmer it till it got nice and thick. So then buttered up like a 8x8 square pan. Put in the broccoli. Poured in about 6 ounces of freshly grated sharp cheddar. Then poured that white sauce over it. Another 6 ounces of cheese. Then I put in some toasted garlic breadcrumbs that I made in the pan. Toasted up some breadcrumbs. Baked that up in the oven for about 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, that is some good stuff. That you want a way to like resurrect some leftover chicken? If you got like some dry chicken, trying to get it back up, a little bit of that cheese and broccoli casserole, so good. So good.
The sauce was the cheese and I think they gave us a packet of chicken broth or something to put in there as well. But I think the lemon juice and the
Yep.
cheese, I think all of that was enough, like that acted as the sauce because it was very moist and yummy and had an amazing flavor. The lemon juice made a big deal too. The lemon juice is no joke. It really helps. Am I saying it wrong? It's prosciutto. That's what I'm saying. Did I say it wrong?
Prosciutto.
Prosciutto.
Pretty
I
good
mean,
to
if
the
anything, I
prosciutto.
don't say the O. You say it's prosciutto. Prosciutto. I don't know.
I guess that's the New Jersey. I guess in New Jersey we over pronunciate a thing. That's where the gabagool comes in.
At least I'm not sitting here saying Italian ham.
Oh god, or Italian ham. Yeah, that's when you're a disgraziad. That's what I can say.
Oh my god.
Mrs. Snacks is in texting mood.
I don't know if she started cooking yet, but I'll know because I'll smell it. I'll smell the garlic when she starts cooking the garlic.
Oh yes, the beauty that is garlic.
Yes. You want to make your house smell amazing or whatever. You're a single guy. You have a girl coming over. It's like, let's say you're a liar. You want to pretend you cooked her dinner, but you really order it from a restaurant and kind of heat it up, keep it warm, and have it ready when she comes. If you want it to be believable, and you want it to really sell it, chop up some garlic, throw it into some olive oil, and cook some garlic up, just to fill the house with that smell. Then when she comes in, she'll never suspect that it's ordered out food.
Or if you want to do this, do the roasted garlic bulb, where you split it the bulb in half lengthwise, wrap it up in some foil with a little olive oil and a little bit of salt, and put that in the oven at like a 425 for like maybe 40 minutes, and the garlic gets all green bean will tell you about it. But
it becomes like a liquid, and then you can put the knife in and pull it out and spread it on.
You can just squeeze the garlic right out of that bowl, put that on a piece of good quality bread.
I've had that in there was an Italian restaurant in Orlando in the Dolphin and Swan hotels in Disney.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's still there. In one of those hotels, there was this Italian restaurant, and they would give you roasted garlic with the bread, and that's what you did. You squeezed out the garlic and spread it onto the bread.
I remember Boston. I went to college in Boston, and somehow I'm still alive after that. I don't know how. But there was a restaurant called Vinny Testa's, which was later absorbed by Buca di Beppo. Most people might know Buca di Beppo with the huge size, but Vinny Testa's would always do the roasted garlic to start the meal, and with the focaccia, there was nothing like that.
One of the first Buca di Beppos was not the first, but was Palo Alto on the main street, near Stanford University.
Okay.
And I lived in the Bay Area at the time, like 97, 98, 99, like those years, in the late 90s. And that was the best they had to offer in the Bay Area at that time. Like there was no Italian food. It was all Northern style. So it was all like, the cheese sauces and
it was heartier.
Yeah, there was nothing with the red sauce and the mutts and the ricotta, there was no big ziti, there was no chicken cutlet parmesan, there was no, none of that. It was all these fancier Northern Italian dishes.
Did you get like cacciatore, and were you getting that sort of thing?
Cacciatore and the gorgonzola.
The gorgonzola? What?
Something like that, like these weird cheese dishes. Like it was just a lot of pesto, basil.
I mean, I like pesto, but I like pesto.
It was okay, but it wasn't like the Brooklyn places I grew up with. Like, where's the stuff with the heavy sauce and the mozzarella, all the Parmesan and all that stuff. But anyway, Buca di Beppo, that's not an issue. They have all that good stuff. So, and plus their pizza was pretty decent compared to the pizza we would get in the Bay Area. Oh. So I was very happy about the whole Buca di Beppo thing for a long time.
You can't go to Buca di Beppo with like 2 people or less. You got to bring in if you're doing that, you're going to be having leftovers for a week. You got to.
Yeah, it was always a good thing. And then one time, if I would go there with just one other person, it was just order 2 big things, and you get lots of leftovers.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. Now there's a lot of restaurants, where you're not even allowed to have leftovers. So I used to work at a Brazilian steakhouse for a couple of years, not that long ago, and no to-go containers. That was one of the rules.
Yeah, Harlan, they don't know what baked ziti is here in California. They have no concept of what most people don't have a concept of what baked ziti is. I had someone come over and I made baked ziti, And I go heavy with the ricotta. I go heavy with the mozzarella. Like it's all over the place. I layer it in the pan, and then I bake it real slow for a long time, so it kind of dries out a little bit, just enough to have that texture of like we can cut squares of it. And people went like the two people we had over that tried it went ape shit over it. They just couldn't believe it. They were like, "How did I not know about this?" And I always use ground beef as well. Like every big ziti I make is beef, ground beef baked ziti. It's in the sauce.
Gotcha. I did a big penne dish this past week. It's like the second or third time I've done it. But what's cool is that it combines Italian and Latin flavors. So brown up the hot sausage. I do all of that, take that out. But then I brown up bell pepper, jalapeno pepper, and a poblano pepper, and onions, and about 3 cloves of garlic. All of that. Flavor with salt, pepper, oregano, and cumin. I know that sounds a little crazy, but it really, really works. Cook up the pasta, put that in, put about 3 cups of tomato sauce, and put that in the 13 by 9. But what I top it with, and this is really important, is smoked mozzarella. That's hard to find sometimes. It seems like the smoked mozz is only around certain times of the year, where you can buy mozz and maybe smoke your own if that's something that you want to do. But that smoked mozzarella just adds like a little bit of extra oomph to it, that extra smokiness. And it works so well with the poblano and the jalapeno and the cumin. It's a great blend of Italian meets like Spanish. It's a great dish.
Yeah. Hey, Jay, Cons, I agree with you. It is Americanized. Big Ziti's an Americanized thing. The chicken cutlet parm heroes and all that. It's all Americanized. There's no question about it. And I've been in Italy, a few times. I love Italy. I love Florence. I love Rome. I love Venice. I love the food there in a completely different way. I mean, one thing that's the same is you get like gnocchi bolognese there, and and they're tortellinis, but they make it in the back fresh. It's completely fresh. It's amazing. But that doesn't mean if you're in New York and you go, to Little Italy, to Danico's, or if you're in Brooklyn and you go to any of the great Italian restaurants, that our Americanized Italian food is not wonderful, because it is. Big Ziti, when made right, is incredible. Chicken parm, when made right, is incredible. Just, it's not like, oh, we made it worse. Americanized doesn't always have to mean bad. You know what I mean? And there's even places in Italy now that have Americanized Italian food. Like they literally took it back to Italy and Americanized Italian food. I mean, even our pizza is Americanized. Like, except for Napoli and the Neapolitan style pizza, our normal Brooklyn style pizza, our New Haven pizza, that's Americanized. In Italy, pizza's bread. Like, that's the key. Pizza is really the bread, and a lot of it doesn't have cheese. It might have some other things on it, but it's really about the bread. It's usually, in most places that I've been, it's thicker. So yeah, I mean, I'm not denying a lot of it is Americanized, but I'll say that I love both. I love the Italian food in Italy, and I love Americanized Italian food, especially from New York. Have you been to?
Is this a trick question?
Yes.
The answer is, how many times have we been there?
The Pharaohs, yes. Yes.
Jay Cons must be new here. That's all I know.
I've visited the Pharaohs, L&B Spumoni Gardens, Lucali's, Joe's in the city, John's on Bleecker. I'm a pizza maniac. When I lived in New York, I was sure. I went to Williamsburg. Every time a new pizza place came out or opened, I was there. Artichoke, basil.
My gosh.
Yeah, I mean, like, they used to be great. The original one on 14th Street and First Avenue was amazing, and then they grew too fast, and their quality went
no good. No, I went there. I tried it. I mean, I love artichoke, spinach, that kind of thing. It tastes like I have like a bunch of friggin' Alfredo sauce, like on a pizza crust.
Oh, well, I never got that. I got their regular pizza, but still,
I tried it, man. I just no.
Oh, but if you could go back to, like, I'm talking about back in 2008, 2009, it was just, they're from Agrigento, from Sicily. They had the one place, it was literally the sun, and you'd walk in and they're making pies, and they had two kinds of pies, the artichoke and the regular. I never vary off of traditional pizza. I say, what's your best cheese pizza? And it was incredible. And then they started popping up in these places, Artichoke. I mean, they're in Phoenix, they're in freaking LA, there's one in Berkeley.
They're in
they're not-
airports. They
and
they
yeah,
got they
they're
got
not
into
good.
an airport now in New York. That's how
Yeah.
big they've gotten.
Yeah. They just grew too fast and they're not good. And,
No.
you know, but yeah,
I
all
went
of
to Frank. I told you I went to Frank Pepe's 2 weeks ago. Now they've expanded, also. Very famous New Haven place. So now they're in like D.C., Florida, Yonkers, but they're based out of New Haven. And I did my usual: the white clam with bacon and roasted peppers. That's like my go-to combo with like a New Haven style pizza. White crust with white sauce, just olive oil. Don't need any tomato sauce with that. And had no trouble knocking that out. And the servers were shocked. They're like, "Really? You add bacon, roasted peppers to that?" I'm like, it's a perfect combination. It works.
And there's hundreds of pizza places in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens that are local neighborhood places that aren't famous that you discover that are amazing. And people, I grew up in Canarsie. We had a place called Originals Pizza. And they had 2 locations, one in Georgetown and one in Canarsie on Avenue L. And it was amazing. Brooklyn, it was like Joe's Pizza. I mean, it was amazing pizza, but it was just deep rooted into neighborhoods. No, it just didn't catch the attention. It didn't get famous. It's a neighborhood place. But it was it's amazing, amazing pizza. There were tons of places like that. There was like Luigi's in Gravesend. I mean, there was tons of great places where you can just get great pizza. I mean, all over the East Village. Like, I know John's of Bleeker's the famous one. Joe's is famous.
Yeah,
but there's 20 pizza places if you walk down Bleecker Street, like all the way from the east to the west side. And there were so many of them that are amazing.
Yeah,
because you couldn't stay in business if you weren't good.
Right. And New York Pizza Suprema by Madison Square Garden's a great place too. They give you a lot of variety.
I love that you know that place.
I love Pizza Suprema.
I mean, it's crazy that you know that place.
Yeah, I know that place.
It's crazy that you know that place. Because I used to do improv there. The workshops were on 28th and 8th Avenue. That was where the Magnet and UCB, that's where all the theaters, the improv theaters are located, and where you take the classes. And I just randomly, most of the pizza around there sucks. Like, there are a couple of bad places. And I kind of walk up and I walked into that place. I always get a regular slice first. And I noticed that they have upside down square.
Yep.
So I know right away they're imitating L&B. I asked the guy, is that, I go, L&B? And he looks at me, he goes, well, I grew up in
Sheepshead Bay.
And I said, oh, and he laughed. And but I just got a regular round slice, and it was amazing. And a lot of friends that I have, when they come into the city as tourists, they don't want to, I know they're not going to go looking for the places I tell them, but I know they're going to be around the garden, Times Square, Madison Square Garden, 30 Penn Station. I say that's where I send them, to Supreme Pizza, because I know it's a place they'll find that they'll actually go to.
Yeah, and if they have like any dietary issues, they got the vegetarian and the vegan options, and that is something to consider also. I mean, growing up, of course, in Central Jersey, here's the thing: Dad was lactose intolerant. He's having pizza. He's doing Pizza Hut with like 4 meats on it and no cheese. That's the extent of his pizza eating. So, for me, it was always Bruno's in Edison, New Jersey. That was my go-to spot always. To me, I remember one Super Bowl. I think it was the Dallas-Pittsburgh Super Bowl, like in '95. I remember I had 6 slices of pizza that night as a teenager. Out of a 16-incher, I went to town on that pizza. Yeah, Bruno's was my place way back when. That was my hangout.
That's so funny, because my best friend's father, my godfather, the restaurant I grew up in was Bruno's, but it was in Canarsie, Brooklyn.
Different Bruno, of course.
Of course. But that was where I grew up, in a Bruno's. That's where I learned how to make pizza. I learned everything about pizza and Italian food. I learned how to cook Italian food. Like, all of it comes from there. I used to go to the back, and the chef, I would just watch them. I'd watch them during the day do the prep, and then I'd watch them at night, how they throw everything together. And it paid off, because one day we were open on New Year's Day, and the chef didn't show up. So me and my best friends had to be in the kitchen. And lucky I watched, because he, obviously he's the owner of the Sun. He knows how to do stuff, but I caught on really fast, and we were like slams, and we were making, we limited the menu. We weren't doing the fancier dishes. We were just doing chicken cutlet parm heroes, veal cutlet parm heroes, because these are the things that were easy that we had prepped. Shrimp Parmesan heroes. We were doing baked ziti. We were doing ziti Sicilian, which is more of a red cream sauce, kind of like vodka sauce without the vodka and the fire.
Oh, okay.
Chopped up eggplant and pieces of I forget if it wasn't pancetta.
Oh, the pancetta, the Italian bacon pancetta. Okay.
Yeah, we put that in there. So it was limited dishes. It was the ones that we kind of like were able to quickly make.
It sounds pretty all encompassing. I mean, what weren't you doing? I mean, I think
we weren't doing. We knew how to do it, but we weren't doing the chicken French because it was just too long with the wine and everything.
Oh, the chicken franchise. Yeah, that's
we couldn't handle that many pans. Like
okay,
we were trying to use the deep fryer because a lot of things we had prepped and breaded already. We had the pasta set up with the boiling water where we had the baskets to do the pasta. We had the sauces set up. We didn't want to mess with having to take the skillets, like, the pans, and start sauteing garlic and adding the wine and lemon juice and making the chicken French. And, so, we were avoiding that. The chicken alla Bruno, which was basically chicken marsala, but instead we used sherry. So instead of marsala, we used sherry, and that was named chicken alla Bruno.
Chicken alla Bruno.
And it was basically the same thing, chicken marsala, but instead of marsala wine, we used sherry, and it was delicious.
Okay, because chicken marsala is one of those dishes, can be great or it can be bad. It's all in the preparation.
Oh, well, we were Brooklyn, so we did it the right way. Thin. Pounded thin, and the sauce with the mushrooms, and it was pasta, same sauce. Like, believe me.
The complete confidence just in this thing. We're from Brooklyn, so we did it the right way. Everybody else, get out of here.
The problem is you get like even chicken parm. You go to some places when you're you're in the wrong state. It's this thick.
I can't.
You tell a parm that's this thick. What's the point of the?
I'm so uneasy about getting chicken parm out for a number of reasons. As soon as believe it or not, if I just see like our chicken breast with tomato, mozzarella, I'm like, no, that's not what I'm looking at. Maggiano's, if you ever go to Maggiano's, has a great one, and they use provolone cheese, and it works really well. But here's what I do. So when I make my chicken parm, I fry it, just the standard breading and all of that. But I always go with a blanket of Parmesan and Romano on the chicken. Then comes the sauce, and then comes the fresh mozzarella cheese. Broil it for a minute or two to melt the cheese. The reason for that is that way the sauce isn't hitting the chicken, and the skin of the chicken is less likely to get soggy because you got the Parmesan there to protect it. That's the difference.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm talking about.
I like it. it.
It works.
Yeah. Hey, man, we
Oh, Jay Khan's asking, when did you guys leave New York? So for me, I was a Jersey guy. I've never actually lived in the state of New York, to be clear. So I left New Jersey in July of 1997, right before so right around the time Parcells came in. Right around that time, moved to Chicago. So I was 16 years old, and it was a good change. The only thing I really missed were my family, real pizza, and the sports. And that was really it. Everything else, I was ready to move on.
I grew up, born and raised in Brooklyn until I was 25 years old. I went to California and lived there for from 96, the Bay Area, to 2000. Then I lived back to New York, Staten Island for a while, for a year or two, North Carolina, where my parents are, for like a year. Then I went back to California, to the Bay Area. I lived there from 2003 to 2007. Did 6 months in DC, moved back to New York, lived in New York from 2008 to 2016. Then in 2016, left New York to where I am now, Sacramento.
There will be a quiz on this later, everybody. So hopefully you all took notes.
For 25 years, I grew up in Bruno's restaurant in Canarsie. I worked in that restaurant. My God, there were times in my life where I lived in that restaurant.
Yeah, my dad's a Brooklyn guy, though. My dad grew up in I always mispronounce Bath Bay or whatever. Yeah, Bath Bay, right by the Verrazano Bridge, basically, off the R line. So he grew up right near where the Verrazano Bridge is.
My God, those N and R trains, they were the worst.
They were bad.
It took so long. Like it took just a million stops. Well, the N train stood for never, because it never comes. Our train was the local, I think, right? So that was the one that stopped at every 2 blocks. So it took forever.
Yep.
Oh my God! But if you can get over to the D, that was a lot better.
Yeah, and then you had the F train. My ex-girlfriend called it. Well, she had obvious reasons why she called it the F train, because you were guaranteed to get screwed over because it was always going to be late.
I had the F train near me when we lived in for a while. Me and my wife, when we moved back to Brooklyn in 2008, we were in Windsor Terrace, and the closest train to us was the F train and the G train, and that was a weird train.
The G train, is that still a thing?
I think so. It was there in 2008.
I feel like I have never seen the G train.
It was a smaller train. Like sometimes if you weren't on the right part of the platform, you had to run. Because
has anybody from the chat ever been on the G train? I want to know.
I'll tell you what the G train was good for. It took you to Green Lane, Queens. Like it was the connector of Brooklyn, Queens, into some of those areas in Queens. And there was a beer garden.
Oh, okay, it's
still there. There's a famous beer garden in Queens. I think there are 2, but there's one that's huge. It's this giant beer garden, and they have amazing food, and they have all the great beer, Czech beer, German beers, and all the teachers in all the schools in New York would go there on Fridays after work. It would be packed with teachers.
Here's the G train.
It was a hell of a place, and the G train would go there. So for me, it was such a cool thing that I had a train that went from where I lived to this beer garden in Queens.
Okay, so the G train starts down in Church Avenue in Brooklyn, kind of works its way up, and then connects into Queens, so at the west part of Queens, and ends at Court Square.
Yeah, it was a Brooklyn Queens train.
No wonder I've never had to use it. Okay.
Yeah, so if you wanted to get to like Greenpoint, like those parts in Queens, like there's an area where Brooklyn and Queens are that are kind of parallel to each other. And
I literally have the map up right now looking at this. So.
It's like a whole neighborhood. I mean, there's a lot of Polish delis there and stuff, and it's really good.
Okay. I have never been on the G, but next time I'm there, I'll have to come up with a reason to try it, I guess.
Just make sure you're standing on the right part of the platform, because I'm telling you, it's like half the size of a regular train.
Gotcha. Okay. I literally have, and one of the coolest museums, if anybody's into museums, in Brooklyn, they got the New York Transit Museum, which talks about the history of the railroad in New York City. And it's really cool. And on my refrigerator, I want to put a whole lot of stuff on my fridge, but I've got 8 different New York subway magnets that I brought from that museum. And I made sure every line was represented. I'm not sure if the G line is represented, but after we're done, I'm going to have to make sure I have a G line magnet or something like that. But yeah, I've got the everything from the Statue of Liberty to Greenwich Village to Times Square to Central Park. Brooklyn, actually, yeah, I do. I've got a Brooklyn magnet, and that's got like 15 different lines on it. So
I have managed to get the games for some reason for the last couple of years for free from DirecTV. Twice, I don't know how we did it twice in a row. Maybe it's because we're not doing long contracts and they want to keep us. But somehow my wife, in the last 2 years, has come to me and said, "We got the NFL Direct again, but we also have the app, the NFL Direct app." Or something, or
the NFL Plus version, like where you actually
the NFL Plus does you the all 22 and the replays, but there's an NFL app that I think we get it because of the DirecTV.
Okay,
so we get it automatically. So this way, on my phone, I could watch the game. I could, if I'm at someone's house, I could send the phone to the TV if they have Apple TV. We could watch like that. So I do it like that. The worst case for me is on DirecTV, I would have to pay $99 because I'm going to grad school. So I'm a student. I have the student email address. So I could do it for $99. And then I have Amazon. So we're Amazon people. So I get the Thursday games.
So wait, let's go back to what you just said a moment ago. So you use a school address, a school email address. Obviously, you work in education.
And I get
that gives you a certain rate?
Yeah, you get a crazy discount, like if you're a student for the football.
Even now with like the changes, like because obviously
I haven't checked for this year, but we always have been able to get it.
That's interesting because I work in a school and I still use my old college email even to this day. I still use
definitely get the student discount. Definitely.
Interesting, because with all the games, obviously, I'm at AJ Gators in Norfolk with the Virginia Jets fans, so I'm watching everything over there. But that what?
I didn't know this. They're not going to have.
Yeah, it's going to YouTube TV now. It's all YouTube.
Oh, so I'm going to be stuck. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm doing.
It's going to YouTube, and it ain't cheap.
What about the app? Well, the app's not going to work anymore. The NFL app, like for the direct.
I haven't had to really look at the technology thing because even when the Jets are like on Amazon, we can just watch it in the bar together, all of us. But that's left me in a bind when we're doing the Thursday night show, and I can't watch the games because I don't have Prime right now.
I'm screwed.
So
I'm gonna have to do YouTube. I think
you have to come up with something, man. And yeah, if you have like YouTube TV, that's one thing. But yeah, you still have to pay quite a bit.
YouTube Sunday ticket is $100 off until June 6th.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
It's not. It's at least $300. I know it's a good amount of money, man.
Oh man,
it's rough.
Damn it! I have no choice.
So this might be a good reminder for to send in your super chats, so that we can watch games.
I'm gonna do a GoFundMe.
We'll do a yeah. I've done one GoFundMe already this month. I don't want to have to do one ever again, to be honest with you.
I'll figure it out. I have no choice. I have to have the games.
Yeah. So I mean, I might do like a Prime. Like, hopefully, I have somebody who can help me out with like a Prime subscription because I know people share their info. So just something like that.
The Amazon Prime, I'm not worried about because that's the best value in the world. Because everything you order on Amazon, free delivery, you get tons of free movies and content. Like that's the most. It used to be $100 a year. I think they've raised it, but it's like me and my wife, the amount of things we order on Amazon, it pays for itself within a month.
Yeah,
with the money we save on shipping.
No, it definitely makes sense. I do try to watch my spending a little bit, especially right now. But Prime is something that would make sense. I already have Peacock, so I've already got that playoff game. I have the year subscription to Peacock mostly for WWE, and to be honest, I like watching old episodes of Dateline. I'm a pretty big Dateline fan. Like one day, I'm hoping Keith Morrison will narrate the story of my life if he deems it worthy. That'd be really cool. So
I have to look into YouTube TV and see, do they have regular channels? Do they get ESPN? Do they get like Max? Like
it gets so confusing, man, with all these different options that are out there nowadays. It's very easy to get confused. And I'm just like, I'll just keep what I have. At least I know it. I might be missing out on what's cool, but I never really cared about that anyway. But it's like, I don't want to be missing games now. And while we're talking about scheduling, I gotta say something here before we go off the air tonight. This Thursday night flex thing is pathetic. I hate it on every level. I don't ever again want to hear a Jets fan say that Woody Johnson is the worst owner in football. He was one of 8 owners to vote against this stupid, selfish proposal that screws over all the fans like you and me. If you're planning to go to a Jets game late in the season with 3 or 4 weeks to go, it can be flexed to a Thursday night game with with just a few weeks notice. It is ridiculous. And it passed by a 24-8 count. Both John Mara and Woody Johnson voted against it. And you know what? God bless both of them for doing it. But I mean, it's one thing to go from Sunday to a Monday game, but if you have multiple Thursday games, that messes with the team. But more than that, it messes with the fans. I hate this.
They just all they care about is money.
It's all about the money, and making these streaming games more important, more notable. They want They want to get bigger and bigger streaming deals. Once the deals with CBS, Fox. They're all going to NBC. They're all going to end at the same time in a couple of years. They're going to want to bring freaking Apple into it. What? There'll be games like on freaking Apple in about 5 years. You watch. It's going to happen. It's going to be like, I swear, maybe one day a team is literally going to be, every game is going to be on Apple, just our games. You all have to get Apple to watch them. I mean, there is no limit to what could wind up happening here. It is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Ridiculous.
I just had to get that off my chest, man. I know that wasn't a Rangers level rant, but still, it was a little bit of a brief rant.
Guys, sorry to get so off topic to the Jets, but the reality is it's dead season. That's why a lot of shows don't even go on right now. They shut down completely. I don't want to do that. I still want to hang out with people. But as the season picks up, the topics will pick up. There'll be more to talk about. We are going to start lining up more guests, so we'll have that. Again, I'm still working with the Jets Lounge. We're gonna work on getting, as Steve has already announced, they got a relationship with Braylon Edwards, and we might be able to get him on the show. I know that Adam's going to be excited about that.
Cool.
And we might get Tony Richardson on the show, and there's a bunch of other guys, and we might get. You're gonna love this about 2K99. You know who we might get on the show at one point? A man by the name of Rich Samini.
All right. That's good. That's fine.
Well, it's gonna get interesting.
I can't think of too many guests who, if they came on, I would be like, oh God. Now I think, let's see, Colin Cowherd, Tom Brady, Skip Bayless. I think if any of those three came on, I might have to sit off out of protest, but I don't think they're going to be coming on with us anytime
I would love to go out at it with Stephen A, because I would totally imitate him. So you're telling me you're gonna sit there and tell me that they're going to key on Garrett Wilson, they're going to key on him, and that's the way they're going to play it, and they weren't able to do it like that last year. That's what you're trying to tell me. Like, that's how I would fight him. Because now he's like so deliberate about how he yells and says everything like it's bad.
Wait, are you trying to tell me now that Breece Hall ain't going to make this recovery? Are you saying this defense is going to be good enough? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now? Are you saying that Brain Man did not deserve a contract extension from the New York Jets, the greatest city in the world? The man with the king of the onside kick, that fake punt, it was a thing of beauty, even better than Team Tebow could ever dream of throwing the football. You wanted to let him go to a division rival? That's just insane!
You're going to tell me that Aaron Rodgers can still keep up with Patrick Mahomes? With Patrick Mahomes.
We're talking Patrick Mahomes here.
Me that Aaron Rodgers will keep up with Patrick Mahomes?
We're talking Patrick Mahomes here. Okay. We're talking. Do you know who we're talking about? It's Patrick Mahomes. He is the LeBron James of football. I have a close personal relationship. I'm having him over for a barbecue this Sunday. And we're going to break bread, and he's going to show me the greatness of how he throws the football. And I'm hoping he'll even lend me a little bit of his hair and lower my State Farm discount rate.
Watch the K99. Why should they go to NY Sports Worker Media?
Because you never know what kind of mood I'll be in or what will move the needle for me. Right now, I swear I want to go on a Mets rant after they allow Marcus Stroman to shut them down for 8 innings. Nothing short of pathetic. But like I said, if something moves me, I'm going to talk about it. As of late, I've done some Knicks stuff. I've done some I talked about how to analyze the legacy of Carmelo Anthony and whether I feel his number deserves to be raised to the rafters, as Steve would say, of Madison Square Garden. So we talked a little bit about that. I've got thoughts on the next New York Rangers head coach, that whole search. Right now, it's a little bit more baseball focused since that is kind of what's in right now. But when something comes up that's football, I will most definitely talk about it. And like I said at the top, we just crossed the 600 subscriber mark, which is a really cool milestone. And now I'm just as ready to get to 700. Want to keep growing this thing. And hey, want to thank everybody for who's come by, who's checked it out. And hey, maybe tell a friend. If there's somebody you know, just direct them to NY Sports Wicker Media.
All right. You heard it from him. And if you haven't already subscribed and you're listening out there and you're not participating in the chat, you still can help us out and subscribe to the channel. The Jets Lounge Chaos. Still Jets Chaos. It's a new name. Jets Lounge Chaos now. A little bit of rebranding. Same people, same fun content. And now in the future, you're going to be seeing a whole lot more. Take care, everybody. Look forward to seeing you. We'll see you on the weekend, most likely. I'll be airing from Vancouver, Washington, because I'm going to be driving up there tomorrow. So take care, everybody. Thank you, Watu-K99. And to everybody, I bid you farewell. Oh, yeah. Go. Amazing. That's my boy. That's my boy.
Breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down.
Oh, Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch.
He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds too.
It's no good. Overtime. Oh, what a catch. How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown.
This is a touchdown all the way.
He reached over the pylon. San Francisco beat Cincinnati.